What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Collective Podcast. Shane, what's up, bro?
Happy Monday, which I like to refer to as Tuesday.
Tell me about that.
Well, most people's Mondays are like, you're finishing up your email, you're clearing your inbox, you're organizing your calendar, you're saying, oh crap, I forgot I had an appointment this afternoon.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm late to a Zoom. Mondays are chaos, they're hectic, they're stressful. Like that's why nobody likes Monday. I have my Monday chaos on Saturday morning. And so at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. on Saturday, before my daughter Olivia gets up, I get up and take an hour, organize my inbox, organize my calendar, so that these days with you don't feel as chaotic.
Yeah.
Now I have 4 companies, so there's still a little bit of catching up on Monday,
Sure.
but it's like, it's fun, right?
Yeah.
So for me, Mondays feel like Tuesdays.
I love that. I've never thought about it like that. I do my catch up on Sunday night. I think I said catch up.
Yeah, you
I don't know
did.
if I said catch up. I guess you could say either one to mean the condiment. Catch up.
Yeah, we're gonna get into
Anyway.
language here in a bit, aren't we?
Well, yeah, because what we're talking about today is niche or niche marketing.
Which one are we going to choose to use so that I can be on the same page with you? Because I don't want to say something different than you and then feel like the weird kid at school.
Or do you commit to one way and I commit to the other way? And at the end of the episode, we let everybody vote as to which way they felt sounded best.
I cannot say niche. I can't do it. It makes me think of quiche. I can't do it. It's for me, it's niche. I can't say niche.
Yeah, I say niche as well. So
I don't have a PhD from a higher institution on the East Coast. And I feel like if I did, I would then be able to say niche.
You should have asked your brother while you were over in Europe how he says it.
He would say niche. But he's a professor in Europe. So again, that's to my point. I'm not a professor in Europe, you know?
Yeah, true. But you do live on the bougie West Coast. I feel like in Texas, we're allowed to say niche. But your people on the west side of our country might
you know what the hell, Kyle? I'll say niche because we can all adapt. How's that?
Let's go. But dude, I'm excited for this conversation because you and I have been guilty of it. You know, we both own multiple companies. And it's so easy when you get into a new company or you're just in the existence of a current company to just think everybody needs my help. So to try to exclude someone to speak to someone else, it feels counterintuitive to ultimately what we're trying to do, which is grow a business. But you and I can both tell stories of when we tried to reach everybody, we ended up reaching nobody. And so we have to figure this thing out, which is niche marketing. How do we identify who we're supposed to speak to or where we want to conduct business? So that's what we're going to talk about today.
I think that my brain isn't as kind in how it speaks to me as yours is, because my brain doesn't say, I want to help everyone. I say, I want to get everyone's money.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I'm nicer than you.
And that's probably the brain speak of most entrepreneurs and people in sales. There's nothing wrong with that. What I look at is I go, I want to not get rid of any opportunities to make wealth. The challenge is, I think what I have been finding, and especially in the last couple of years, is it's not about saying no to a specific audience.
Yeah.
It's about leaning in to a specific audience. And then whatever you get from the general public is gravy, right? Like that's the cherry on top. And in markets and seasons of abundance, your niche might go from 80% of your business to maybe 50.
Good. That sounded
good. Did it sound good? Did you like that?
Did. Yeah.
I wasn't ready for it, so I got to work on a little bit, you know?
I didn't want to like it, but I liked it, if I'm being honest. So
okay, good.
Hurts me.
Maybe you're an East Coast, like, high-end bougie guy on the inside. You do wear a lot of hats, and they are expensive.
True. Dude, this is my newest hat. You like it?
I like that.
You're getting ready for the Olympics?
I like that. So I do think that's important, because what we're not saying, and we're not saying this just from our own personal experience, we've had thousands of people we've interacted with, hundreds that we know personally, and we've taken a dozen of those people and fostered this really cool community within a community, our collaborators and coaches here at the Collective, and they all have a niche. And see, now it's getting better. Now it's starting to really flow there. So, and what we found is they don't say no to the first time home buyer. They don't say no to the general population looking to get solar panels or buy a car, but they all have some specific group that they target. And so in markets where it's down, like if I'm gonna be selling cars, I have a Bronco, and it's kind of like a custom Bronco. It's not the sport that's like looks like a Ford Escape. It's a true Bronco. I can take it anywhere. And I'm in a group with other Bronco enthusiasts. These people in the last 18 months, you'd never know there was a recession. They are buying things like it's going out of style to buy things.
Yeah.
It's for a really unique custom car group. Now, if you looked at just the average person buying a Toyota Camry, they're waiting for that sale to come along from Toyota where they can get 0% financing. So again, I think that in any market, what we see is the niche always outperforms the general.
Yeah.
In a down market, and in a great market, everything performs well. So always build your business off the niche first, and then fall into the general opportunity.
Well, and I'd like to just tell everybody my story. A lot of our people may not know my kind of starting out in all this. 7 years when I decided I'm going to actually like pursue marketing and be a marketing guy, I thought I can help anybody. Every nonprofits need marketing help. Schools need marketing help. Business owners need marketing help. And so I just started trying to create what I thought was like generic marketing content that would serve everyone. And I looked up, and month after month, it was like, I'm not making any money. No one is desiring me in any way. And it was about 3 months in that I thought, I left a company that we served realtors. Why am I leaving the place that I know to go try to attract a bunch of strangers that don't know who I am yet? And so Shane, I started making all my stories about real estate. All of the people I was interviewing had to do with real estate. And I looked up, and what realtors wanted to coach with me. It was unbelievable. But then what was really cool that happened is I would have random people, like every year for several years now, I go to Florida and I speak at a nanny convention. That's right. I speak at a nanny convention. I actually have a hat that's up here that I don't wear because it says I love nannies on it, which as a 41-year-old man feels very dirty to me. And you would misunderstand what that hat is. But every year I speak at this event for agency owners that hire nannies for families. And the way I originally got that gig was they said, hey, we know you do marketing for realtors, but I bet it also would work for us. And so what I've found that I think might be the nugget that somebody needs listening to this, watching the podcast is once you're an expert of something, you're attractive to everything. We love knowing we have an expert that we have access to. And most people never achieve it because they try to stay so generic in what they do. And I mean, the reason you and I met is because lenders started paying attention to me. Why? Not because I was speaking their language, but because I was speaking the language of the people they want to attract more of, the realtor. And so everything just works better the more we're willing to niche down. It didn't sound as good.
You can't do it, dude. You can't do it. You can't talk about nannies and nanny conventions and then go right into niche. It just, I don't know, man.
Did you see my face? It felt, my face looked like I stepped into like a fart cloud.
You didn't sell it. You have to want it. You got to want it, Kyle, and you didn't want it. So it's okay. Say niche, go with it. It's fine.
I want people to understand, like, this is my story. Like learning the power of niching down is it's the way to go. And so I want us to get very practical. You've got a few things we're going to talk about to get into the technicality of it. But for anybody listening that's kind of new, you've been more vague on purpose because you haven't wanted to, in your mind, neglect anybody. And so I break niching down into three pieces, right? It's the problem, the person, the place. We can niche down into all three of those collectively, or You can say, you know what? I close loans in North Texas. I am a realtor in Seattle, Washington. I sell insurance in Boulder, Colorado. And so you could niche down geographically and go be Mr. and Mrs. Boulder, Colorado, right? And become the digital mayor of your city. That's an unbelievable way to niche down. You could also say, here's the problem I solve. I help older people with a reverse mortgage to pull some of that equity out of their home, right? What an incredible way to educate to something specifically. That's a problem. Or we can speak to a person. We can speak to a generation. We can speak to Gen Xers. We can speak to boomers. We can speak to millennials. Any of those things will create an incredible opportunity for us to niche down. And then once we get there, it simply becomes about speaking their language. What language are they speaking that I need to go learn and adopt? Bro, I had to learn all the housing terms. When I jumped into all this, I had to learn what that stuff meant. Otherwise, I look like a moron trying to say things that realtors are like, you have no idea what you're talking about. And so that's the kind of precursor to all of this is, pick the person, the place, the problem. And then now we can kind of dive into some different ways to get intentional with this stuff.
Well, and I love what you said there. And it actually, we hadn't talked about this, but you have to be adaptable to the environment of the audience that you want to attract. And so when I was a fireman, we would naturally do this where to make our patients and their families feel comfortable, we would find something that we could relate. And this was just a skill I used to break down barriers. You're walking into somebody's house, somebody's had a heart attack, something's like they're in their worst moment. And we would oftentimes have these families, these people laughing. Our job, I think the best medicine we could ever give people was like calm, peace, like just certainty in the mental state, right?
Yeah.
And so we'd walk into a house and I'd be looking at the walls and I'd be like, oh, you went to USC. I went to UW, but last year I went to USC to go to a football game. What a crazy campus in the middle of downtown LA.
Yeah.
Like I know nothing about USC.
Right.
But I was able to find, and then you would be surprised. They go, oh my gosh, we went to the game last year. What a crazy game. Pretty soon we're like, how'd you get to USC? And we're getting like the relatability factor between me and my niche is now increasing, right? The more relatable I am to them, the more comfortable they are coming to me. And a great example of this. So Jason Steyer, phenomenal dude. He's in the mortgage space and his niche, because he's in Oklahoma, he's
in Texas with me, but
he's from Oklahoma and like that's his thing, right? He's a Sooner, which is hard for you. I know. Ugh. So he's all about veterans and military, right? Not just the veterans, but like military in general. VA lending is his thing.
Yeah.
And if you look on his social media right now, every day it's American flags, it's stories about veterans, it's challenging other industries that impact his clients to do better by working with veterans. What was really cool is he's passionate about awareness around PTSD, veteran suicide, like things like that. I'm thinking this guy was probably the way he talks, probably Marine, maybe Air Force because he's a smart dude. Then he goes, I never served. And I'm going, what? And I actually know this guy, this guy. And I'm like, what do you mean you never served? Because we know that community. It's a lot like police and fire, public service. They don't let outsiders into their community.
Right.
So what did Jason do to get into the inner circle of that community? And what he did is he had family in the military. He talked the talk. He walked the walk. He knew their terms and he knew their slang terms. He knew everything about it. His grandfather had served. His great grandfather or somebody had been in Normandy, really cool. And he would talk the talk, walk the walk. He knew the families. He knew when a husband was deploying, what the wife was going to have to go through. So he was relatable. And so that really goes back to your person, place, and problem. If you can really relate to the people, they're going to buy your product. Well,
and that's why when all a lender does is talk about all the different product offerings their company has, or when a realtor is only sharing tours of houses and closing photos, none of that stuff is speaking the language of the people they're trying to attract.
None. And it doesn't resonate. It's not memorable. And it's like selling vanilla ice cream. Everybody sells vanilla ice cream.
Yep.
I can go right now probably, and I live in a town with not a lot of ice cream. I could probably find 5 places within a couple miles sell vanilla. Now, if I sell homemade cookie dough ice cream with a giant cookie on top, I'm the only one.
Right.
Right? I can always sell vanilla, but I'm attracting people for something different. What's that cookie? What's that thing that you're doing that's different? And that's why I love what Jason does, what others in our, I mean, we've got another, I mean, there's so many people we could just look at their niche and how they do that. But let's get into a couple of different specific places that you can find niche clients, market to niche clients, and grow your business. And I would say 1A and 1B would be Facebook groups.
Yep.
And then 1B would be Google via like a search. I say Google via search, and they're probably separate, but Google via search, which would be through writing blog posts, through strategic like keyword marketing, would be your website, your SEO, and then YouTube, which is a Google product. And YouTube is great because I think they probably, and I don't know, I'm confident in this stat, they probably are the largest telecommunication company in the world. More people probably consume their video than people are consuming ABC, Fox, any of the large national ones day to day, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that means that instead of paying Fox $1 million for 10 seconds on Super Bowl Sunday, I can go to YouTube and I can create niche videos explaining a product to an audience that's specific for free. Right. And if I do that consistently enough, I am going to show up on Google. I'm going to show up on YouTube. I can leverage that in other ways, but I know this to be true because of investor groups. So this is a great niche, is investors. Now, if you're in real estate or lending, same audience. These are people that are, they're constantly looking for deals. And this is not your guy or gal who works for BlackRock buying home complexes. I'm talking about people like you and I who buy a rental property or an Airbnb. They're kind of hustlers and like at heart, they're always looking for a deal. These people live in Facebook groups, and they have several large Facebook groups specifically for these people. And they're going in there saying, hey, I found a new deal. I need money. And if I'm the expert in lending in that space, I'm like private messaging Kyle, the investor, and hey, bud, I saw online you need money for a 7-plex in Tennessee. What's your cap rate on that? Again, I'm going back to relatability. I'm now starting to speak their language. So it's like putting a translator on when you fly to France and speak in French. Right. I'm like, what's your cap rate on that? Hey, have you looked at your gross receipts? What's your like projected net revenue year one? And they're going, oh, this guy, okay. And like, hey, is this an STR, or you use it short-term rental, or are you going to use this as a long-term rental? Right. I'm starting to go into things like that. I'm like, is the owner going to maybe carry the note? And this is their love language. Right. And we have people in our community, this is their number one source of business. And last year, when most lenders' business was cut by 50 to 70%, they actually saw an increase in their business. And so I think Facebook's a great place to track those. Google is also for a different reason. Facebook people are hanging out all day, talking shop, drinking coffee virtually, shooting the breeze, coming up with ways to find deals, asking questions. Google is more intentional. I'm an investor. I'm looking for hard money. I'm building a new development down in Florida, and I'm looking for somebody who will do a specific thing. Maybe it's a DSCR program or a specific investor program. And I've created a video explanation. I might maybe done a whole series of videos around that specific topic. They're searching for the topic, not for me. Yeah. And then they're finding me.
Well, and what you're also saying is if we understand the need and we can speak their language, we also need to go, who else is looking for these people? Yeah. And you know, I hate the word partnership because that can mean a lot of different things, but essentially, how many people can I partner with that are also looking for the same person as I am? And can I offer to write a guest blog on their website? Well, you and I in just a couple days will be on an MGIC webinar with, over 1,000 people on it. And guess what? The same audience that MGIC is after is the same audience that you and I are after. And so if we can create, win-win situations with third parties, that's an incredible way to win. On Facebook, we can go to dozens and dozens of groups that are attracting the people we want and go become contributors in those groups. Also, if you can't find a literal group in your city for what you're trying to do, yay, you get to be the one that starts it and begin creating that content. And that's, to me, the fastest way to do all of this stuff is not to just go, I'm going to do this for a year every single day. And I bet after a year, it's going to start to pan out. I would be looking for the right people that already have built-in credibility and probably a good amount of eyeballs on them and say, hey, how can I add value to what you guys are doing? And that's what's worked for me in the past.
Yeah, it can't be passive, right? Like, you don't grow a niche by being passive. Now, what's so funny is you brought that up. That was actually my third place to attract niche leads. Was I would call them like complementary trade groups, organizations, or people.
Yeah.
Right. So for example, Jason Steyer talked about this in regards to VA loans. He goes to other veteran-owned companies and partners with them. And this goes back to sales 101. Yep. Everybody knows 50 people. If I have 10 That's people right. in my sphere that I effectively market to and request that they market for me on my behalf, I can reach 500 people that quick.
Yeah.
And so that can grow exponentially. You see these people who have done a really good job of this. There's a gal, Cody Sanchez, and what she does is she buys boring businesses. That's what she does. Laundromats, mobile home parks, things that are boring, but the money is fun. So what she did is she just niched into this. It's all she does. And so then she goes and interviews companies that are doing boring things and growing, and she's capitalizing on that. She's in groups now of investors looking to buy, because now with the market tanking in a lot of areas, people are like, I just want to get into something stable, something boring. And that's a great example of really leaning into other groups and organizations that are doing things in that space she wants to be in. And it works really, really well. So I love this conversation. I think just quick summary for people like me who have short attention spans. You talked about 3 ways people can identify a niche: the person, the place, or the problem. I think that it's so important to, and this goes back to a book Seth Godin wrote. A lot of people try to create a market and an audience for a product that they want to sell.
Right.
So I build reversible hats. I'm super passionate about it. I love reversible hats. And I'm going to spend $1 million to create an audience to buy reversible hats.
Yeah.
Instead of going out there and saying to one of my friends who's a hat designer, hey man, what's the biggest area right now that is underserved in the hat buying community? And he goes, oh my gosh, there's this whole group of people that they love wearing the same hat every day, but they can't wash it. If you built a company that they could send their hat to, and it would design that exact same hat in washable fabric, you'd be the only guy doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What do we do instead? We do the opposite. We go, I need to create an audience that doesn't exist, that doesn't want a product that I'm passionate about. Yep. Instead of finding an audience that already exists and addressing a need that they already have that isn't effectively addressed. And that's the benefit of doing niche marketing.
So good, bro. I mean, I'd love to hear from people, in the comments, wherever you're watching this. Like, what do you believe your niche is? What do you want your niche to be? Because we'd love to further the conversation. We'd love to jump on a call with you and help you flesh that out. Because this is, everybody's heard this, like the riches are in the niches. And, did we just solve this debate? Because you couldn't say the riches are in the niches.
I think we did. And we both actually like saying niche better anyways. So
yeah, it did sound good on you, but The riches are in the niches.
Yeah. And I just would challenge everybody, just one small bite at a time, right?
That's it.
Ask that question. How do I identify them? Where are they? It's the person, it's the place, the problem. Pick one to start. Yeah. What's a problem in my market that isn't addressed? What's a group of people in my market that are underserved? What's a place in my market that needs more of what I offer? And then you go, and once I've identified that, downtown Everett, Washington, there's a lot of guys looking for washable hats. Then I go, where do hat people hang out? I go, and who sells other like hat products to them? Right. And I go, New Era, they sell hats. Maybe they'd be a buyer for my product in the future. Is there a New Era hat group? I can guarantee you there is. Without ever researching it, I can guarantee that. That's what's so powerful about niche marketing. It's so powerful because taking one bite, doing one thing to one group, if you do that with consistency and a cadence and branding, and we've talked about on the marketing church, sales circus, all of our other calls about how to effectively build your own brand. Yeah. If you're selling washable hats, you should be damn sure wearing a hat every time you're marketing.
Right.
And Jason Steyer does this well. He's got American flag. He's got neon lights in white, red, and blue. You start to do things like that and you'll grow your niche.
Guys, you may be asking yourself, like, what's all this about? Why Shane and Kyle, why are y'all doing this? The podcast is just a small sample size of what we call the collective coaching. Why? Because Shane and I are entrepreneurs that have failed a lot, succeeded some, and it's lonely. This is not for the faint of heart. It is so easy to feel like no one understands you, nobody gets you. Maybe the person you literally live with has a hard time relating to what you're going through. This is why we built the collective, is to bring like-minded people together that have a desire to make money, but also want to be great spouses, be great parents, be great leaders in their communities. And that's what we do Monday through Thursday. We've got live coaching every day of the week except Friday for you to show up when you want, don't show up when you want, but always knowing that if I show up today, I'm going to be encouraged, I'm going to feel inspired, and I'm going to get a nugget that's going to make my life and business better. And so, Shane, how can people connect with us if they want to come check out what we're doing in the collective?
Yeah, I dropped a comment. So if you're on YouTube, you'll see that. You can go to thecollectivecoaching.com. It's very simple. You can also reach out to Kyle or I on any social media. Shane R. Kidwell, all the platforms. Coach Kyle Draper, all the platforms. And you'll find us online. You'll find people like us talking about the collective online. It's really not that hard to find us if you look for it. At the same time, we don't allow everyone in the door. So we have an application process. The cost of membership isn't your biggest investment. It's actually probably the smallest investment.
Yeah.
And that's by design. So we're really excited to be welcoming people in. And yeah, it's easy to find us, thecollectivecoaching.com. If you want to go right to sign up, it's products.thecollectivecoaching.com. You get right to the product page. You can get signed up today. We'll see you on the other side.